We have only two of you guys onboarded today, and rest of them are not yet joining. So I think we can start the session.
Okay.
And before I start the session, like you guys have practiced anything, and then you guys have any questions?
Shrikant, I have this query. Somehow while practicing, my system got hang. So is it possible to recover? I was not able to save the the file which we have uploaded during the practice. So I
But
mean,
when you open the Power BI platform again, it should show you the
yes,
last
should I
recovered
share
one.
the screen? Should I share the screen?
Yes.
Just 1 second. Is it visible?
Not yet loading.
It is having some issue. Just 1 second. I'm facing some issue in sharing the screen. So,
Oh, okay.
so actually data is appearing on the right hand side. There are tabs, but the interface is not the same.
When you say interface is not the same, like what
You have
exactly does
to
it show?
go to transform data.
Right.
Yeah, now it is appearing. Yes, yes.
Cool. No problem. Give me a minute. I'm just opening my file and then let me share the screen.
Okay.
You're able to see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me go to the Power Query editor. All right. So just a kind of a recap what
How
we
did
have
you
done.
reach to this Power Query editor? Can you once again explain
Transform
me?
data.
Okay. And so earlier it was appearing, now it has disappeared. I am not able to identify what is the reason. Is it?
So when you click on the Power Query editor, do you have the file with you?
Yes, I have the file with me. Power BI data sets. All those files are there. I'm clicking on transform data, but it is showing queries 0.
Okay.
I'll try to share the screen. I'm not able to share. I'm facing some issue in sharing the screen. Actually, data is not appearing.
Do one thing. Tell me your email ID.
Aditya.paliwal Aditya.paliwal2019 @gmail.com.
Paliwal. Aditya.paliwal2019
Yes,
@gmail.com.
yes. It seems it is lost somewhere.
I have just sent an email to you with a file.
Okay.
Let me know once you received it.
It seems I have not saved it properly. That is, yeah, I got it, Srikant.
Okay. Download the file. Download the file and then keep it in your local drive and then open it.
Actually, it is asking to load the changes.
Have you opened the file?
Yeah, I have opened the file. It is asking for apply changes, discard changes.
Yeah, click on the discard changes.
Okay,
And after you click on the discard changes, just follow my screen and then do exactly whatever I'm suggesting you.
just one second. Yeah,
Okay. Now click on the transform data that will take you to the Power BI screen.
just one second. Yes,
So once it is loaded to the Power BI screen, you should see a kind of an error message.
queries 0. Nothing is appearing on the screen.
No. Are you opening my file?
Yes, I am opening
The
your
one I
file.
have sent you?
Yeah, the
Mm.
one you have sent. Earlier, the data was appearing, suddenly it has disappeared. Can you
Okay.
send me again that same
Mhm.
file? Once again, I'll don't download
No, no,
it.
close the file and then don't save anything and then reopen it.
Okay.
Just reopen the file and don't click anything.
So again, it is the pop-up message is appearing. Apply changes, discard changes.
Okay, don't do anything for that. Do
Hmm.
you see the data source settings on the top?
Data source. It is not
Okay,
appearing.
when you click on the transform data drop down, you should see an option called data source settings.
Yes, it is there.
Click on the data source setting.
Yes,
Do you see this like this?
just one second. Yes, it is like this.
Okay, what you need to do carefully. Okay, so if this is Africa file on the top, you need to select this, click
Hmm.
on the change source.
Hmm.
Once you click on the change source, it will ask you to browse to the location. What you need
Hmm.
to do, just only update this particular path. Don't update the file name at any cost.
Hmm.
Don't update the file name. Just update the path like this and then click on OK. So once you update it, the top one will go to the bottom. So which means that got updated. So likewise, all the files needs to be updated.
Okay. And should I save this downloaded file first before doing all this?
So you haven't saved it?
No, no,
I
I have
mean,
not
you
saved
haven't
it.
downloaded?
Yeah, I have downloaded but not saved anywhere. So first, should I save
No,
it?
no. It once you download, which means it is already saved in your downloads, right?
Okay, yeah, it is already there in my downloads.
Right. So you don't need to further do anything. Just open the file and then do this step.
Okay. Open the file, change source.
Right. Click on the select the option and then click on the change source. You need to do this for all the files.
So I'll have to select till forward slash na Africa. I'll have to leave the africa.xls, then click OK.
Yeah. Change the path and then leaving the file name and then click OK.
Africa is not going down. So I'll have to click on that file path and I don't have to do the browse.
No, no. See, once you know the path, copy the path from your Windows Explorer, select the file here, and then click on the change source. Just click on this. If when you click on the browse, what will happen? You might accidentally select another file.
Okay. So I'll have to
That's the reason why.
select till workshop.
Yeah, just
Then
replace this.
copy and paste should I do, or I don't have to do anything, just selecting and clicking on OK.
No, this path on your system would be different, right?
Just 1 second. C colon slash users, it is same.
See, for example, I have stored my files. I have
Hmm.
stored my files in a location, right?
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
this
So
is the
it's,
location,
yes, it is saved in this thing, my
right?
desktop.
So copy this location like this, and then go back to this place and then paste it here. Replace
Okay.
this path.
Okay. Just 1 second. So this path is actually I'm not able to view the path of my base file. Where to check the path? So for Africa,
Okay, where did you save your files?
it is in the desktop.
Go to the desktop,
Yes.
open the folder.
Yes, I have opened it.
So when you click on the top here,
Mhm.
so it will give you the path.
Just 1 second. Yes, it is there.
Right. Copy that path and then update it on the Power BI screen.
I think the path will be same for all this, na? It will be the
Right.
same. I'll have to paste. I have done it for all. Now,
Right.
should I uh, apply this close button?
So once you have completed everything, click on the close.
Yes.
So once you click on the close, right? Now click on the apply changes.
Okay. Yes. So now the changes applied, the screen is showing visualization and data is appearing on the right hand side. So should I
So
go
do you
to,
see all the tables here?
yeah, I can see all the tables. One, two,
Right.
three.
Now click on the Control S, save the file.
Yes, saved. Now should I go to transform data?
Right. Now click on the transform data.
Now appearing. Yeah, thank you. So I'll have to keep saving all this data now, so that it should not lost.
Right. All right. So I hope Rajesh, you are able to open the file. You don't have any issues, right?
No, I don't have any issue.
Okay, good. So now, see, last week what we have done, we have loaded all the different files for different regions. And then while we are loading each one of the file, what we also have done, we added a custom column here. So to identify the each region, the data for each of the region. And then we appended the file into one single portion. Now, apart from this, what else we also have done? We did the country master and then the USD converter and then the KPIs. We also have loaded all the three files. After loading these three files, then what we have done is we brought all the data from all these three different places into the append one table using the merge query option. Okay. So this is
Yep.
what we have done so far. And from here, again, we are going to see a few different steps. However, the step what we are going to look at right now is useful, but maybe I'm not expecting that every time this is going to happen with your database. But I'm just expecting that at least these are a kind of, a kind of certain informations where you can easily see, you might come across sometimes. Okay. So just watch the screen for a minute. So if you take a look at this particular data here, the entire information, what you are looking at right now. So if you look at this information, the first thing what is happening here is look at the city here. Okay. Look at the column city. In the column city, what you are noticing right now, there is a city name by called Brazil. Okay. However, the city inside this information that is shown in a different methodology, that is shown in a different way. So there are some special characters. Okay. So when I go down, you can see again Sao Paulo. Okay. Rest of the cities are absolutely okay. So you might come across these kind of data sets. Okay. So when you come across this kind of data set, you might have to use a replace and ensure that the city names are being updated. That's one thing you can do. But most importantly, just try to see if there are no special characters updated in the country column, because this is important. City you can still maintain, but the country column is really important. Okay, now we have got the major portion, like we have got the major the appendment table with all the database, and then we have got around 24 columns. Now before we move on to the next step, um, you guys use the pivot table in Excel?
Yes.
Okay, so I hope you are aware of the pivot tables.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and by any chance have you used the slicers in the pivot table as well?
Yes, we have used.
So what exactly a slicer will be used for?
Slicer actually it gives a very good visualization and dashboard kind of look it gives. So whatever filters we have, they get converted into slicer. And once we click on the slicer, automatic data will change. It is a more like a filter tool, but it gives a very good graphical picture.
Okay, so a slicer is not for a you know graphical picture, but yes, it is for slicing the data. Basically, it is for slicing the data. Okay, so the question is pretty clear. Um, See, there are two different. Okay, just giving you a kind of an understanding. See, for example, there is an Excel file. In that Excel file, there are two different sheets. Okay, both the sheets have two different databases. All right. Now, I created a pivot table from sheet one, and again I have created another pivot table from the same sheet one. Likewise, I have created around 3 or 4 different pivot tables from the sheet one. After I created the pivot table, I brought the slicer for that database what I created for those pivot table. Now my question is, can that slicer, or will the slicer can able to slice the data for all those pivot tables what we have created from the sheet one?
If they are linked, then they can slice. Otherwise, they will the slicer will be able to slice the data only for a particular pivot table. If there
Okay.
is a linkage,
Hmm.
then it can slice, and the effect will be on all the pivot tables.
Good. So I have added extra more pivot tables from the sheet 2 as well. Okay. But now I still have the same old slicer, which is created from the previous pivot table. Now, can we slice the data for the extra pivot tables coming from the sheet 2 as well with the slicer?
If source data is different, then and linkage is not there, then it will not be able to slice. But if source data is the same, and then it will be able to slice.
Right. So this means when you understand this point very clearly, that if the source data and the pivot table or the slicer which we are holding from the hails from the same source, it will slice the data. If it is coming from a different source, which means you are bringing the pivot table from different source and then bringing a slicer from different source, yes, there will not be any connectivity. Correct.
Yes.
So that is what exactly is happening on the Power BI as well. But in the Power BI, there is a slight change for that. For instance, now take a look at this data. When I click on the close and apply on the Power Query screen, right now on the Power Query. So when I click on the close and apply for the Power Query screen, okay, this will take me back to the Power BI screen like this. Okay. After I go back to the Power BI screen, on the left hand side, there are 4 different views that Power BI is offering. Okay. So I'm talking about the model view, which is the third view here. I'm talking about the model view. So when I click on the model view, what you will notice, Okay, on the first instance, what you will notice when I click on the Power Model view, all the data tables that you have created will be appearing here. Okay, all the data tables that you have created will be appearing here. So now let's look at each one of the pivot table. Sorry, I mean each one of the table here. So if you look at the Zomato Asia, okay, when I select the Zomato Asia, you can see there are lines which are going. There are some dotted lines, there are solid lines, right? There are some dotted lines and solid lines. But just imagine Zomato Asia is a different table. Zomato Oceania is a different table. Zomato Sam is a different table. And again, the KP is a different table. Append1 is a different table. So just imagine that all these are from different sources. All these are of different sources. But each one of the sources are interconnected somehow the other. They're interconnected using via another table. When I say that, see there is no linkage between the Asia and there is no linkage between SAM. Okay, so they are not connected to each other. If you look at that, there is no kind of dotting line or anything coming back. But since we brought this data and this data into an append1 table, correct? That is why it is showing the linkage. So which means ideally, when you bring the slicer from any of these tables, any of the individual tables, and bringing a graph or a visual from append1 table, it will work. Ideally, it will work. So that is what the model view will actually tell you how these are being connected. However, even while connecting, there are different ways of connecting to a data. When I say different ways of connecting to the data, how it means in. Have you heard about uh, a relationship in tables?
Yeah.
What kind of relationships are there in the tables?
So it must be 1:1, 1:n.
Right. One to one relationship, and then one to many, and then many to one,
Yeah.
and then many to many. Okay. Now let's talk about each one of the relationship and then why we are talking about this. So let's talk about the one to one relationship. What is a one to one relationship? For example, when I go to the table view here, okay, and specifically, let's talk about the Asia file. So when I go to the Asia table, now I could see here there are different kinds of informations. Okay. Now, how many total number of rows are there? There are 8849 rows of data, right? And what is common between the Zomato Asia and the append1 table?
Restaurant ID.
Restaurant ID. Why this is common? Because we know very clearly that we have taken the data from Zomato Asia and then put it onto the append1 table. So the restaurant ID is being the unique value and also it is the common value between both the tables, correct? So there
Yes.
are 8849 rows of Asia table where all these rows are connected to the append1 table which is having around 9550, correct? So all these restaurant IDs where we have got 9550 here in the append1 table are unique values. If you want, you can take a look at here. See, it says append1 column restaurant ID, they are distinct values, right? So when data from Asia table is connecting to the append1 table via the restaurant ID, right? So since there are distinct values in Zomato Asia, since there are 8,849 distinct values from Zomato Asia, and then they are connecting to the same 8,849 values within the append1 table, that's called a one-on-one relationship. So when all the unique values or the rows are connecting to from one table to another table, wherein on the second table also they are connecting as a unique value, that is called one-on-one relationship. You understood what is that one-on-one relationship mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
So both the tables are connected via one unique this restaurant ID.
Right. Again, either it is from Asia to append1 or append1 to Asia, this one-on-one remains the same because they are having unique values where they are connecting through the restaurant ID. Okay. Similarly, for example, again, when you talk about one-to-many relationship, when you talk about one-to-many relationship, now with the methodology that I have explained to you in one-to-one, can you guys think over an example and tell me what could be a one-to-many relationship? Any example in our data set?
Is it like one restaurant ID is connected to Africa, Asia, Europe, NAM, Oceania? Is it the right interpretation?
No. That's why I
Okay.
asked, have you understood one-to-one relationship? What is happening in one-to-one relationship?
So restaurant ID is unique and it is connected to Zomato Africa, Zomato Asia.
No. From Asia table to append1 table, we said it is a one-to-one relationship, correct?
Yes,
Okay. How many unique values are there in Asia table?
some 8,000 value was there.
Right. And how many unique values are there in append1 table?
9550.
Correct. So 8,000 values from one particular table which are unique are connected to 8,000 values only in the append1 table, right? Append1 table is not just alone having Asia. It is also having different data from different regions as well, correct?
Yes,
But out of those 9,550, only 8,000 values or 8,849 values are connected from Asia table. That is why it is called one-to-one relationship.
yes,
Similarly, now if you understood this concept when I say one to one, so left hand side left hand side table to right hand side table. Now one to many, which means on the left hand side, the relation should start with a one and should end with many on the next table. So what kind of example we can able to bring in with our data set? Just give it try. Think. What happened? You guys were unable to understand or not getting something?
Is it like the append one table has got like one to many relationship with all the other tables?
No, specifically, can you give me an example of one to many? So we have created so many tables, right? So append one is the main base. So what are the other tables that we have connected to the append one table?
All Zomato Africa, Zomato Asia, Zomato Europe, Zomato NAM, Zomato Oceania, Zomato SAM.
Correct. So when all these are getting connected, right? So out of all this, what table have on the left hand, just think about like this. When I say left hand side and right hand side, think like this: Asia to append one, Africa to append one, Europe to append one, NAM to append one, Oceania to append one. So likewise, my question is, like, either you also have USD convert to append one, KPA to append one, country master to append one. Which table on the left hand side have the unique values, and which table on the right hand side have the more values, but they are connected to each other with the same with the same identifier?
Restaurant ID.
Restaurant ID. How come restaurant ID will be the value that it can be? I mean, that's not an proper example for that, right? Think about it.
Can dollar currency? No, it should.
It's the country code.
Yeah. Country master. Country master to which table?
All the I mean to Africa, Asia, and all that.
So which means you guys were not able to understand the concept. See, looking at the data model here, okay? Let's say we are talking about Zomato Asia. So I'm bringing Zomato Asia alone here, okay? And also I'll bring the other continents as well. and then you have Africa, and then you also have Oceania. Okay, Europe. See, these are the continents which are coming up, I said. Then we are talking about the append1 table. So we are bringing the append1 table. Okay. Now, when I zoom into any one of the particular thing, okay, or let's say I'm just going to take all this, or let me do this way. Let me select everything and then first delete them. I think this is a better way that you can understand more on this. Right. So I'm going to create a relationship between two tables. Okay. So I'm talking about, let's say I'm talking about Zomato Asia, and then I'm talking about append1. So this is from table, this is to table. This is from table, this is to table. Okay. Now when I talk about the restaurant ID, when I talk about the restaurant ID, so this is giving you a one-to-one relationship. This is called the cardinality, and this is giving you a one-to-one relationship. Okay. So when I click on OK, it creates a relationship which is absolutely okay. Now when I click new and I'm talking about country master, I'm talking about country master, and I want to talk about the append1. So between country master and append1 table, what do you think will be a kind of cardinality? What kind of cardinality it could be?
Country code.
Sorry.
Is it country code?
Right, country code is the connector, but what kind of cardinality it is? One to one, one to many, many to one, many to many.
Is it one to many?
Okay, why one to many? Like when you say one to many, like what could be the justification for that?
From the country master, it is looking up to n number of data in append1.
Right. See, country code, in the country code column, there are only certain values. There are few values here which are unique. All the values are unique, right? I think there are 15 rows of data. All the 15 rows are unique in nature.
Yeah.
In append1 table, if you look at the same country code here, if you look at the same country code here, right? So all these country codes, there are 9,550 country codes, which means they're duplicated. Here in this table, if one alone is having one particular row, in append1 table, it is having multiple rows. But still, this is connecting from one row. This one row is connecting to multiple rows within the append1 table. In those cases, that is why we call it as one to many relationship. It's called one to many relationship.
Okay.
Okay. Now, think about this and then give me an example again. How about many to one? You understood the concept of one to one and one to many?
Yeah.
Yes.
So try to look for an example for many to one.
So, like many restaurant IDs will have connection with only one country code.
Where are the restaurant IDs? How many restaurant IDs are there in the table or whatever the table that you are asking, talking about?
So if we talk about Asia, there are 8850 restaurant codes.
No,
I
no.
think they,
First, many to one relationship. What is the example? What table you are referring to? From which table to which table you are talking? Many to one.
suppose if I take Asia and check the restaurant IDs, then multiple restaurant ID will have connectivity with one country code. Country code is unique for.
Sorry, I'm talking on mute. Can you explain that again on Asia table two?
Suppose I'm looking at in Asia table restaurant IDs.
Mm-hmm.
So they are connected with one country code. Many restaurant IDs are connected with one country code.
No, no. You are still not able to understand the concept. Like, what do you understand on the one to one and one to many?
One to many, like you just explained, there are so we have unique country code which is connected to
Let's say, for example, Aditya is having, okay, Aditya is having one. No, I think that cannot be a good example. Let's look at this way. See, when you're talking from Zomato Asia to append one table, first thing what you need to identify is what is the unique identifier between them. The unique identifier is restaurant ID.
yes,
Since there are no duplicates here in the Asia table, and there are no duplicates here. Okay, this is only the unique values which are there in the Asia table. All these unique values are again connecting to append one table.
yes,
But in append one table there are 9,950, but all those restaurant IDs are again unique. Out of them there are 8,800 are unique which are connecting to Asia, correct?
yes,
So that is why it is called a one-to-one relationship, because one row from Zomato Asia is connected to only one row in append one table,
yes,
correct?
yes, yes,
Similarly, if you look at the country code, there are in the country master table, in the country master table, okay, the country codes are, there are only 15 country codes which are the 15 rows and 15 uniques, correct? But
yes,
in append one, since the country codes are more, they are not unique in nature. All the 9,950 rows are having country codes which are repetitive, which are repeated.
Yes.
So each row from the country code is connected to multiple rows in the append one table. We call it as one to many relationship. Now, what I'm trying to ask you is, with the same scenario, give me an example of many to one relationship. Come on. See, if you reverse this, it becomes the many to one relationship. So which means when I click on this new and then click on the append one, and when I click on the country master, so in append one, there are country masters, which the country codes, which are too many, which are 9,950, and these are not duplicated. They are, sorry, these are not unique. They are duplicated. And when these are connected back to the country code, when these are connecting back to the country code, this becomes a many to one relationship, because many rows from this append one table are getting connected to only unique rows in the country master.
Right.
You understood now what I'm talking about, this relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Can you guys think of many to many relationship? Do we have many to many relationship?
Many to many. Many.
Just think of all the tables that we have connected. So what could be a many to many?
Is it the USD?
Right? What is that?
US dollar?
US dollar. From what table to what table?
From append one to Zomato Asia, Zomato Africa, because
We don't have USD values in Zomato Asia or
yes,
append
yes,
one table, right? Then
it is not there. Correct. Correct.
if you remember, there is a column, we have USD converter. And this USD converter to append one table, if we are connecting through the continent, if you are connecting through the continent, right? So that becomes many to many. From here, we are connecting to the region. For example, when you are connecting the continent to region, this becomes many to many relationship. Why? From USD converter to append one table, when you are connecting the data, why does it become a many to many?
This continent and region have multiple unique, similar sounding names.
In the USD converter table, the continent Asia or the continent table have unique or unique values or duplicate values.
Duplicate values.
So since there are duplicate rows and then all these duplicate rows are connecting to multiple rows in append one table with the region, and even in the append one table there are multiple rows, right? There are not unique values, correct?
Yes.
So because of that, the relationship between these two tables gives us a many to many relationship. Got it?
Yes.
So anyways, these are like, um, since this is the first time, probably you might not be able to immediately identify it, but yes, this is how any kind of database where you are loading into the Power Query, okay, any database that you are loading, all these database will be definitely having a kind of a cardinality. So they are connected to each other either one way, either it is a one to many or many to one or many to many or many to one, depends upon the way that you are doing it. But the point here is you don't need to do this manually. All these things you are not going to do manually, or there is no necessity of doing this manually. All these will be directly done while you are creating or while you are doing the transformation of the data on the Power Query screen. Okay, this will automatically do the job, so you don't need to worry about all this. But this is just your for your information to understand how the tables are actually connected to and talking to each other, because while you are using the slices, these cardinalities play a very prominent role in connecting the data and then slicing and dicing of your data. Okay.
So this USD converter is not showing any dotted line or bold line. Is it?
It is not showing because the reason why, if you remember, we have done a method, we have done a concept of merge query. But when we did the merge query, we have selected two different queries. I mean, two different unique identifiers. One
Yes.
is one is the continent and then the currency, correct?
Yes.
So for example, if I click on the new and then say USD converter and append one table. Now continent to region will be making one particular many to many relationship.
Yes.
But when I click on the currency, when I click on the currency, now you can see right now it is not allowing me to select two different columns. It is only allowing me to select only one column at one time.
Yes.
So in cardinality, when you're creating the relationship, okay, so it is not showing you even any dotted line. However, they're connected to each other, but still it is not showing you the dotted line because this model will not be able to identify how you have connected two different tables with two different identifiers. So it will not tell you what exactly it is.
Yes. Is it because their headers are different, continent and region, both header are different? Is it?
No,
Okay, this is not the
it's
issue.
not about it. There is nothing to do with the header. It's all about how the data, each row needs to get connected to another row in the table.
Yes.
Right. So now we'll go back and then look at the data view. I mean the table view. Let's take a look at the table view. So in the table view here, what you are going to experience, as I told you earlier, in the Power Query screen, while you're on the Power Query screen, you can identify that there are only top 1000 rows are being shown up. But when it comes to the Power BI, any table that you are loading, even if it is lakhs of data or whatever be the case, you will see all your information precisely very properly here. Okay.
So it doesn't have any limitation like Excel has some limitation of 10
It
lakh
doesn't,
data.
no, this doesn't have any kind of limitation. It will show you all this information here.
So that is why it fetches data from SQL also, like they have
Yes,
no limitation of data. Even 3 crore, 4 crore data can also.
it will show up.
Yes.
And that is on the table view, but we'll talk about table view more in the later terms because we'll have a lot of things that we can do on the table view. So let's talk about the report view for now. This report view is a place where you are going to create your visualizations. Okay.
Yes.
Uh, Let's talk about the options here. The first thing what you are going to see here, this is a place where you are going to build your visualization, and this place is called the canvas. Okay, this is called the canvas. Like how you'll see in Excel, the spreadsheet, right? So a plain area where you can create your visualization, and this is a place where you can see the page name. As I told you, in Power BI, we call this as pages, not the sheet. Okay, so you can create multiple pages over here. There is no limitation for this. That's one thing. And you can rename a page here. Anything, you can just rename a page here, like just simply how you can do that in an Excel file. You can do the same thing. You can rename a page. Okay, and you can add the pages here whenever you want. So anyways, we'll do that as well. And on the right hand side, you will see there is a filter section which is default. This is by default, it will appear for every page. And we can talk about the filters again on the later stage. And in between that, next to the filters, we have got the visualization and the data. So On the data part, whatever the tables that you already have created, all the tables that you have created so far, okay, all the tables will be shown or line up here. Okay, that's on the data, that is on the data side. And visualization is a place where you are going to actually spend more of your time, more and more here in the coming stages. You will spend more on the visualizations. And again, as I told you, when I talk about certain options, again, I'll tell you the same methodology like insert tab, modeling tab, view tab. So tab names, group names, and the options, the concept of this will remain same across Power BI or the Power Query when we are talking about. So this is on the just layout we are talking about. But as mentioned, whenever we are going to talk about the visualizations, half of your time will be spent more on this particular visuals part. And then again, you will have to concentrate more on this area, which is the values area, where you are going to see a lot of information. Okay. So let's start working on that. Most of the time, or let's say not most of the time, I think what we are going to do is we have append one table, which is there on the right hand side. In the append one table, whatever the data we have, we are going to utilize every data here from this portion, and then we are going to create the visualizations. Okay. This is a high level overview. What we are going to look at is this is just a high level overview we are talking about. On the right hand side, under the data table, when you open, right under the append one, I believe that you guys see this country and the country code, right? So we have country code and the country. So you have the country value here. Do you see the country value here?
Yes.
Right. So just drag this country and then drop it onto the canvas like this, whatever I'm doing. Drag the country and then drop it onto the canvas. And once you do it, just little bit, expand it a little bit. This is how you should see the data.
Is there any settings to enable the map?
Is it not enabled?
Yes, it is
Uh,
not in.
All right. Then go to the file option here. Click on the file.
Yes.
So click on the options and settings, and then click on the options.
Yes.
And once you click on this, you should see an option called the security.
Okay.
And when on the security side, if you scroll down to the right hand side, I mean, you scroll down a little bit, you see there is an option called use map and field map visuals. Ensure that this option is checked.
Okay, it was not checked. Then click OK.
Yes.
Then we'll have to drag and drop.
Yes. Just do it one more time. I mean, delete the earlier visual and then again redo this,
Yeah.
drag and drop it. Then it should
Yeah,
work.
yeah, I have to delete it. Yes, correct. Now it is working fine.
Is it appearing now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. So if you see now we have brought the country code on this. When I drop the country data onto the Power BI screen, what you're witnessing here is the data is automatically converting into a world map visual, and then you can see the data where we are plotting, okay, where we already have plotted this information. So you can see the bubbles are coming up here.
Yes.
When you hover the mouse on the bubble, you will see the country names are being shown up. As of now, we haven't added any data or did anything, so it is just showing the bubbles, correct?
Yes.
Now coming back to the right hand side, we'll talk more about this particular visual. Under the visual part, as I told you, this is the place where you are going to concentrate more in terms of looking at the data. So ensure that every time whenever you want to do any changes to the visual, the first thing what you need to do is to select the visual first, specifically select the visual. And on the right hand side, if you look at this, it says now this is country. Under the visual map, there is a location which is automatically updated. When it comes to the legend part, when it comes to the legend part, see, I'll tell you what is the use of the legend here. You don't need to do it. I'll just show you what is the purpose of this. In general, when we are bringing the country and plotting onto the graph, we have this kind of unique way of looking at the data. Like, can we show the bubbles for each of the country in different colors? Then what will happen? For that reason, if I bring the country back and to the legend now, you can see all these countries are shown up with the different bubbles,
Yes.
and each one of the bubble which is there on the top, it is showing you the legend name here.
Yes.
If you want, you can show it like this, which is absolutely okay. If you want, you can show it like this. That is absolutely fine. But my way of looking at the data, or let's say recommending of the data, if you want to use legend, you can use a different color, which is absolutely okay. Right. But there is a way that you also have to adjust your map visual. For instance, there is India. Okay. We know the India is dotted with a different color, and Sri Lanka is dotted with a different color, Australia with a different color, South America, but this is Brazil. Again, if this is North America, this is another country. Now, again, the same thing with UAE. These are different countries. So right now here, only the continent names are being highlighted on the name. So let's deal with all this information so that you will get to an understanding. And then coming down the latitude and longitude, leave it. Now the bubble size. So all these bubbles right now on the world map, all these are of same size, right?
Yes.
So if you don't want to show it of the same size, but you want to give some demographics of it and then say, based on certain data, it should give me the more information. Let's say, for example. So what we can do, maybe based upon, you have a lot of information here. Either you can say aggregate rating based on aggregate rating, or based on average cost for two, or either total number of cuisines, or based on what do you say, the total number of total number of restaurants we have. So based on that, we can see, for example, when I'm talking about the restaurant, okay, so I bring the restaurant ID and then put it onto the bubble size. So what does this mean is, when I click on this, you will see there is a count and count distinct. So when I use either count or count distinct, whatever, then it will show. See, when I use the count distinct of the restaurant ID, what will happen? Since the Asia is having more number of restaurants, this particular portion is showing up very, very high. And remaining all are showing in a very tiny dotted lines. Sometimes you might even find difficulty in looking at one of the bubble.
Yes.
If that is not the case, let's say you want to give an equal justification for everything, probably you want to show something else. There is an average cost for two, and then aggregate rating, and then we have in USD, correct? So if you look at this, we have created a USD column. See, I'm going to the table view for a minute and then want to show you this. See, this is a new USD column that we have created, correct? Oh my God,
Yes.
why does it show this one? Why not the dollars? Why is it showing pounds? Right. Okay. So I'm going to bring in the USD onto the bubble size. Instead of showing some of the USD, I'll show an average rate. See, when I show the average now, do you see the results are little bit varying? See, this is a example, data example you are looking at, but on the real-time scenario, you can take your call. I'm just showing you the options, how you can able to show your data and use it. Is it working?
Yes.
All right. So when I hover the mouse now on the bubble again, when I hover the mouse, what you are going to see the statistics here, the country and then average of the USD or average dining value. Okay. If you want to add more information apart from this, if you want to add few more information when you think when someone hover the mouse on the bubble and you want to show a little bit more information over here, then there is a way that you can actually do. How? See, I'm going to bring in more information. Let's say I want to bring cuisine's value. So under the map visual, under the bubble size, there is one more information called the tooltip. So when I bring in the cuisine and changing this back to the count distinct, and if I bring in the aggregate rating as well, if I bring the aggregate rating and then update the value over here like an average. Okay. Now see, I have added few more information. I have added few more information on the tooltips, count of cuisines and the average of the aggregate rating. When I hover the mouse, now you will see the more information added over onto this place. So which means on the high level, I can identify that by when the country is Singapore, we can see the total number of cuisines are unique cuisines are 19. Average value for two people will be $155, and the aggregate rating shared by every customer is around 3.58. Got it? Yes. Did I lose you guys?
Yes. Yes. Got it.
Okay. All right. So this is on the visual options that we are talking about. Now let's look at the realistic scenario of more options of this, how you can handle. When you look at the when you look at the options on the top, okay, when you look at the options on the top here, what you are going to see the moment once I keep on adding the data, here the lines are also keep on getting added. This is a dynamic way of having the filter or headers here. This is a very dynamic way of having the headers. Lekin, what we can do, how you can control all these informations. All these are can be controlled on the visual options, more on the visual options. Okay. So when I select this visual and click on the format your visual, right now you will see two different sections again. One is called the visual and then general. Just click on that.
Yes, done.
Yeah.
Right. Then let's talk about on the general part. So because see this general options, let me tell you, whatever the visual you take in Power BI, any visual, okay, we are right now we are talking about the map visual, but you take any option here, either it is a map or a combo chart or a bar chart or a waterfall chart, whatever. For all those, okay, the general options remains the same. So I'll cover all this at one go. You don't need to worry about the property because properties are only related to the way that you are going to extend by dragging from each one of the corner, height and width. Again, talking about the title. So when I click on the title, okay, when I click on the title, as I told you, this is a dynamic way of giving you the title. The moment you are adding the options, the dynamic way, it is actually adding more information. But if you wish, just a minute, Mike, guys. Right. So if you wish to give a general title here instead of showing this, here you can just add the title by you can get rid of this and then give any title. Let's say, for example, uh, giving a high level, giving a kind of high level data locations we are operating or we are operational. See, this is how I have just given. Okay, locations we are operational. The moment once I start typing in over here, you can see this is updated automatically. The country locations we are operational. And then if you wish to change the heading here, like any kind of different kinds of way of showing the header title, fine. And you want to change the font, you can change the font from this place. For each and every scenario, for each and every scenario that you are working on, okay, you will see all these minor operations, I mean, minute details that you will be looking at. And you wish to bold, you can bold it and underline. And you want to give a kind of a theme color, you can give it. Since I'm just using the Zomato part, I'm giving a kind of a theme color like this. And you want to keep the background again. This is a background. So I wish I don't usually give the background colors. So I'll just leave it as it is. This is more on the title part, which I just keep it like this. Okay. Rest, I don't worry about that. This is more on the title side. I just want to give. Every time, whenever you're working on any kind of a visual, this is where you will actually look at the titles. Okay. And then effect. On the effect side, I'll only let you know few options. One, the background color. If you want to change the background color, or I mean, I don't usually do this, but you can play around with the background. Visual border, which you usually think of. So I'm just adding the visual border and I give a color again, a Zomato color, and rounded corners, I'll just leave it as it is. Now, if you look at the data from outside, this is how the visual map looks like from the effects portion. Okay. Then again, I'm coming back to the format your visual part. And then bubbles. When you talk about the bubbles, again, these are already having a different color. But if you wish to change any of the color of any one of the country bubble color, you can do it here. I, I mean, see, I would only recommend this only when you are having a standard color for everything, then you wish to change the color of it. Since you already have added as a legend and then it is coming up more, so you don't need to worry about that. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm still on the effects part. So yeah, this is on the effects part where you don't need to worry about the remaining portions. So I'll just leave it and then let's go back to the visual part. So we'll talk about the visuals more. Right? Let's talk about the visual part. So on the visual part, what you can see, the first thing, the map settings. Let's talk about the map setting. See, this is a by default map which is offered by the Power BI the moment once you are dragging your data. However, you can change the style if you don't want. First thing what I'm going to do is, you see there is an option called the show labels, right? I'm going to get rid of the labels first. The moment once I click on the get rid of the label, what you can see, all the labels here are gone away. Like whatever the region we have or whatever the like the ocean names and everything is being closed. So post which I'm going to show you the different styles. So if you wish to use the aerial map, or if you wish to use a dark map like this, or you want to use a light color map, or a grayscale, or you want to use a road, this is how it looks like. So you can choose any one of the color or any one of the map style you like, whatever the map style you like, you feel you can use it. But this is a place where you can use a different kind of styling for your maps. And there is nothing much on the control side because these are automatically working. So you don't need to worry about anything on the control side. So this is just about the map style and then map setting. And as well on the next portion, we have the legend. I wish I don't want to use a legend for any portion reason. This is showing too much information here. Okay, so I want to switch off the legend. I'll tell you how we can handle all this in a different way. So I'm switching off the legend for now and I'll switch up bubbles. I don't need to worry about anything. But let me talk about the category label. When I say category label, there are these are the countries what we have identified. Now, if I switch on the category label, what you will see is the labels are coming up onto the screen for the map. So instead of showing the by default ones, instead of showing by default options here, you can actually switch on your category labels, which will actually help you to show or the plot the information. So again, you can see you can do changes here, multiple changes. You can do multiple changes over here. Like I'm just using um my favorite text, which is Calibri, and then you wish to change or you want to keep it bold, you want to switch on the background, you can do it, or else you can just leave it simple like this. Or if you wish to maintain, let's say, for example, you wish to maintain some sort of theme here. Okay, so this is how you can do that. So give a try for all these options and then see and just try to do the best, whatever the best you like, you can just keep it. Let me know once you're able to do all these options and use all these options and then see.
Yes, we have checked it.
Yeah.
Good. Uh, all right. So now we have just did some settings, but let me also do a kind of small thing here. All right. So now we have done just upon this. Okay. So when I hover the mouse on the bubble, now you will see all this information, which is absolutely okay. So far we are good on this. Let's improvise a little bit on this. Let's improvise a little bit on that and see why this kind of portion what we have created is really important. Now I want to bring statistics over here. I'm showing up certain location PS, which is okay. And then I want to show some sort of statistics over here. So how do I bring some sort of statistics? So let's talk about the restaurant IDs. Here you have got the restaurant ID, right? On the date append one. I'm slowly bringing this restaurant ID and then dropping onto the canvas below the map. Below the map, I dropped the canvas. When I drop the canvas, what you will see, the restaurant ID is being coming up in the form of a table visual. When I bring the restaurant ID and then drop it onto the canvas below the map, you can see this is coming as a table visual. I want to change this visual first. How do I change? While we are on the selection of this visual, when you select this visual and click on the restaurant ID here under the visualization, I'm going to put this as count distinct. When I say count distinct, now you can see the value is shown as 9550. So far, this is what I have done. Just give a try and then do it till here and then let me know.
It is showing somewhat different in my screen. It is showing 10K, 5K, 0K.
Because it is, do you see a sigma symbol before the restaurant ID?
Yes.
Okay, what I want you to do is to change this to a count of restaurant ID here. When you select this, you need to change this count of restaurant ID. Click on the drop down of it. That is where you will see the count distinct value.
Okay. Should I select count distinct?
Yeah, you need to select the count distinct.
Yes, I have selected, but it is not changing. The sigma symbol is still there. So some kind of blue colored rectangular box is appearing. Does it have any connotation, indication?
No, this is a table. It is coming as a table. But don't you see this value? Okay, select this value and then say no calculation. When you click on this, do you see there is a value? Show value as no calculation.
Okay. Yeah, it is not having any calculation, but
Okay,
still, yeah.
and click on and do you see that there is a summarize? Don't summarize.
Yes, it is there.
Right. So once you click on that and
No,
then
this
just
option is
change.
not appearing. Don't summarize option is not appearing.
So you need. Do you see this option here? When you click on the count distinct, do you see the value? It should change.
Count distinct is appearing, but some average minimum is also appearing.
Right. Select the count distinct. This should be checked. I think right now it is showing you as sum.
Yeah, I have selected count distinct only.
Can you take a snap of that and then put it on the chat window?
Okay, just 1 second. I hope I have.
No, don't worry. Now I understand what it is. So just follow the instructions, whatever I'm telling, both for you and Rajesh. So this is the next step. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
So after you have converted or changed this to the count distinct here, okay. So now what we are going to do is, for me, this is a table visual. For you, it is a bar chart visual. So select this visual and then you see there is an option called 1, 2, 3 over here. Under the
Yes.
visualizations, there is something called 1, 2, 3. This is called card visual. Okay. So select this card visual. Now this should show you the number as 9550,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Right. So now I'm just going to reduce this size and then keep it over here. Okay. So this is called the card visual. This is actually called card visual. For a while, now let's look at this, if things are working better or not. When you select any one of the bubble on the top, when you select any one of the bubble on the top, this card visual should automatically change the number for you,
Yes, it is changing.
right? If it is changing, which means that we are in a good shape.
Yeah.
Now to come back and then reset everywhere, what you need to do is you can just click on any one of the outside map or inside the map, anywhere you can just select, not on the bubble, so it will automatically reset.
Yes.
For now, let's look at the card visual properties. So I'm selecting this card visual now and then see. There is nothing much that you will have to take a look at this portion. So directly go to the format your visual. And as I told you, mentioned very clearly, I always try to look at this way, which is the first thing on the general part. So I'm switching on the title and then I will say, I'm giving my own title here. Let's say total restaurants. And I'm just giving my own way of font and everything. So you can use your own font, whatever the font you like. So this is what the settings I have done under the general portion. I switched on the title and then did the effects. Nothing else I have touched base. So this is how I have just mentioned it. and then I'll talk about the visual. So just finish your general part and then let me know. So we'll talk about the visual part.
Done.
All right. So if this is completed, then what we will do, we will switch to the visual part for the same card visual. And let me talk about this one. This is called the call out value. When I say about the call out value, the one what you are seeing, the number 9550, that's the call out value. So even for the call out value, you'll have multiple options here where you can do changes. If you wish to do apply any changes, you can do it. Okay. On the category label, if you look at this category label, when I'm talking about, this is called the category label, which is there in the below, where it says count of the restaurant ID. I don't want to use this. I'm get rid of the category label. Since I already gave a title here, I'm just happy with the title. So this is what I'm looking out for. So on a nutshell to say, this is what the final card visual that I created. You guys were able to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now see, we have took a bit of effort on doing this slicer, doing this card visual, right? So now just see what am I doing. I'm selecting the visual here. I'm selecting this visual, copy it. Okay. I'm just copying it and then paste it over here. So this creates a duplicate card visual, right? So I'm just taking this card visual, dragging it to the left hand side, sorry, to the right hand side, and then leave the portion. Now, what am I going to do is I'm going to just modify the certain details. I'm removing the count of the restaurant ID. Rather, what I will do, I'll right now bring cuisines. Okay. In the portion, I'm going to bring the cuisines and change this back to the count distinct. Okay. Count distinct of the cuisines.
How did you copy it? Like Control D or something else?
Control C, Control C, Control V.
Control C, Control. Then you got brought the count of cuisines. Cuisines in value field.
Yeah, you need to select this and then under the value field, select this and then change this to count distinct.
Just one.
And I'll go to the general and then change the title now. I'll say unique cuisines.
Count of cuisines. Actually, unique cuisines. I'm not getting the cuisines. It is like restaurant name when I'm selecting cuisines.
Yeah, it will go to the restaurant name, but you need to select the field. Under the field, you need to select the drop down and then change this back to the count distinct.
And I'll have to rename the label also. It is still showing total restaurant.
Yes, because we are giving the title, right? So
So
you'll go to the visual, format your visual. Under the general, you will change the title to unique cuisines.
okay. Done.
Is it working?
Yes.
Is it working for you, Rajesh, as well?
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
All right. So now you can see that we have done this way. Okay. Or this is a way that you are just copying and pasting the visual. If that is not the case, I'll show you another method as well. See, now we have got the restaurants and the unique cuisines. Now I want to bring the average aggregate rating. So I'm going to bring the aggregate rating and then put it on the canvas and converting this into the card visual now. Okay. So what I did, brought the aggregate rating and then changed this to a slice card visual. And then now I'm going to just mention it as average, selecting this. Now this is a visual that we have. Okay. Now see what am I doing? I'm going to select this visual here. I'm selecting this unique cuisines visual. And then on the home tab under the clipboard group, I'm using the format painter. Select the format painter and then just click on this. This will also automatically convert into the same way. It will convert into the same way. And you can just give the title over here. So this is a way where you are actually trying to control. When I say control, you are just trying to minimize your efforts in redoing this entire job. Okay. Okay. So now after the average rating, I'm also going to do the same thing, like bring one more statistics here. So this time I'm going to bring the statistics of uh, sorry, the USD dollar value. So I'm going to bring the average of the USD dollar.
So you have chosen average cost for
Average
US
cost. Yes.
second.
Yes, I have used the average cost. No, not the average cost. In USD, there is a
Okay, okay.
which we have converted the value, right? So that is a to USD.
It is showing rupees for me. How did you change it to dollar?
So the way that you have to change this to a dollar is if you go to the data table here, in the data table view, then look at the USD column, right? Select this USD column and then you'll have to change this currency format here. Select the currency format onto this.
Okay. Currency option is not getting activated if I'm going to data table now.
So first thing you'll have to select this
Okay.
and then you will see under the column tools on the top, you should see the currency and then you will have to click on the dollar symbol.
Actually, this is not getting activated. This dollar symbol, dollar percentage,
Look at the data type. What is the data type it says?
fixed decimal number. Okay.
Does it say fixed decimal for you?
No, actually, it is not changing. Currency chain USD. I'm in the wrong column. Just 1 second. Yeah, it is now. Okay. So I'll have to refresh somewhere after doing
No,
this.
nothing. Once you have changed this and then you come back to the report view, this should automatically reflect here.
Actually, it is not reflecting. Should I once again go back? Okay.
It should reflect.
Yes, it has started reflecting. 10.82. So I'll have to decrease the decimal. How do I do that? Just showing $10.8217.
Select this visual first, the card visual,
Mm-hmm.
and then you will have to go back to the format your visual under which you will see the callout value. In the callout value, you can just control this to value decimal places as 2.
Okay. Yeah, now it is done. So if I'll have to center align this average cost for it is going for left align, then that alignment where did you do?
See, alignment, everything will be happening here under the same place.
Okay.
No, just expand this otherwise. Just
Okay.
expand this otherwise.
Okay.
Does it work?
Yes.
So now I'm just trying to align all this to the center so that, I'm just keeping it here like this to the center, just to make it much more look better or give a kind of a professional look. And once you have done, just check now, click on the bubble. Now all these should give you the proper information.
Yes.
All the bubbles should be changing the values.
Yes. Yes. Let's check.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We'll pause here and we'll take a short break and then come back. We'll gather by in 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes. Will that be okay?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure. I'm back. You guys are back.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So, okay, let me share the screen again. All right. So far what we have done is we have just added the labels and everything is going well and good. Now let's look at little bit more deeper insights of this, little bit more. Okay. So when I say little deeper insight of this, what we are going to take a look here is the first thing. Since we already have added everything portionally, just take a look at the screen for a minute. See, when I look at the chart visual, the map visual here, you will notice there are only two options coming up here. One, there is a filter which is coming up here, right? There is a filter button. Now, apart from the filter button, you don't have anything else, ideally. Come on. Oh, come on.
Yes.
Sorry, I just have a trouble with my chair. Yeah. Now, just watch the screen. What am I doing? I'm selecting this map visual again. And under this visual section, where there is a location where I'm seeing the country. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to bring, okay, I'm going to bring city under the country now. I'm going to bring city under the country. Now, what you will witness the moment once I bring the country and then city, do you see there is an extra arrows which are coming up here?
Yes.
Just add that city level under that.
Okay.
Along with that, what we are also going to do is there is another information called locality. I'm going to bring the locality as well. So right now I have added the country, city, and then locality. And once I have added this information, you will see these arrows are also popping out on this, correct? These arrows are called hierarchy. This is called hierarchy. What does the hierarchy mean in Power BI? So this by a hierarchy in another term, what we call it as, you can drill down the information. The hierarchy is used to drill down the information. So how do you activate the drill down first thing? How do you activate the drill down? Before you see, I'll show you the difference. I have added the city details and everything. But when I click on any one of the option, what you're going to see, you will see only these four cards are actually changing, right? There is nothing happening on the map visual, right? But now you see, this is called the second arrow where it is highlighted. This is called the drill down. So activate this drill down. Okay. How do you activate the drill down is just select the down arrow. So once you select this down arrow, the drill down is activated. What will happen with the drill down? Now, if I go and click on any one of the country, let's say I'm going to click on the Brazil, for example. When I click on the Brazil now, what you are going to see here is it is drilling down to the city. And when I click on the city again, it just goes and drill down to the locality as well.
Yes.
So when you are adding more drill down information, this is where you can actually zoom inside the map without even doing anything. It will automatically take you to that place where you can actually do this. Right?
Right.
And if you wish to go back, again, you will have to click on this up arrow. This will actually drill up back to the original position. Okay. So now carefully watch the screen one more time. What am I doing? This time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the region from the data. I'm going to bring the region and then drop it onto the canvas. The moment once I bring the region and drop it onto the canvas, what you'll see, this is coming up as a table visual. I brought the region and then drop it onto the canvas. Now this is bringing as a table visual, correct? I'm changing this visual from table to slicer. How? This is the way I can just actually change the slicer. So you see, this is the option where before, where is the slicer here? Right. So next to the KPI visual, there is a slicer. So this is in fifth row, third column. Just convert this into a slicer. This is how it will just keep changing the layout. Is it done?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Now you see what I'm doing on the slicer side. So I'm selecting this and then go back to the format your visual here. And on the general part, I don't require, I'm just switching up the header icons. So I don't require the header icon. And on the visual side, also, I'm going to switch off the slicer header. I'll go to the slicer setting here. Okay, under the visual slicer setting. When I open it, I'll see the options. So I'm going to choose tile instead of vertical list. I'm going to choose the tile. And also on the selection side, I'm going to see there is a show select all. So there is one more option called show select all is added. Now see what am I doing here? I'm just going to expand this little bit. I'm expanding this little bit. And when I contract it, this is how it actually goes and update it like this. See. Of course, yes, you can reduce the size. That's not a big deal. Okay. And now again, I'll go back to the format your visual. Now this time I'm going to select the values and then do some changing of the values by changing the font color. and I'm just adding the border. If you wish to change the background of it, you can change the background by changing the background color to red and then making the font color to white, so that this gives you a kind of a theme color like this. I know for a reason why there is a blank here. So what am I doing? I'm on the slicer bit. On the slicer bit, I'm just going to select everything, but just unfilter the blank so that, I'll see only the information related to that. So this maintains a consistency by selecting the slicer, and then I'm choosing the filter section, and under the filter section, I have selected everything and unchecked the blank for now. So that is how it filtered the slicer. Now, if everything is good, just see this now. I'm going to click on the Asia. The moment once I click on the Asia, it now filters only the countries in Asia. Now within that, again, if I go back and then click on India, so this gives me the city and locality of this. Let's say if I'm going to select any one of the place, anything. Okay, let's say Bhubaneswar. This gives you the information where it is, and then it gives you the statistics over this. Again, when I click on the select all, and again, when I click on the select all, this reset, however, it will not go back because you will have to drill up again back. Is it working for everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. See, now you see, I'll give you one last option here, not more than that. So go to the insert tab, go to the insert tab, and under the elements group, you'll see an option called image. So click on the image. Okay. So once you click on the image, so go back to the place where I have given you the folder and where the files are, and then you can get inside that image folder within the data that I have given you. Okay, so now what am I doing is I'm going to select the image one, which is Zomato one, and then click on open. So this will add the image like this on your screen. And so just add the image first. Go to the insert tab, elements group, and then image, and then select this Zomato one image first.
Done.
Okay, so I'll give you a simple options how you can do this. Once I select this image, usually what will happen, there is a style that will appear. So I'll click on the style and then I'll say fit. Sorry, I'll say fill. Okay, not fill. So when I expand this or contract this, or let's say I'll use the fit, not fill. Yeah, I'll say fit. And then I'm using this image and then put it over here. Similarly, go back to the same methodology like insert elements group image and then click on the image folder and bring the Zomato 2 as well. And again, fit, make sure this is fit. And just to match, what am I doing? Just to match, what am I doing? 84, 89, right? So I'm just doing the same thing here. And matching or aligning it over here just to see that, we are on a good page and then drop it. Okay, now I'll tell you why we have adding this. See, now what I'm gonna do is, so when I'm selecting this particular image, when I'm selecting the first image, which I have loaded, you will see there are two different options coming up. There is an option called action. I'm switching on the action and then I will say, let's say the bookmark navigation or let's say page navigation. When I click on the page navigation, for now, you will not see anything over here. Okay, you will not see anything over here, but just click on this action and then leave the page navigation also as well. Similarly, again, what you are going to do is we'll just do the page navigation and keep it. I'll tell you what we will do with this in the later stage. So for now, just activate this and keep it. Right? Done so far. If you have done this, just save the file so that you are not losing anything.
Okay.
All right. Now what we are going to do is, so the first page is completed, so which we are good. Now we'll create another new more page. We'll create one more page and we'll say the details, detailed page, or let's say the table details or location details. We'll just mention it as location details. Okay, this is the first home page and then the location details. This is what we are going to take a look. Now see, what am I doing? On the home page, I'm selecting this entire portion which is there at the bottom. I'm selecting this entire portion along with the slicer. I'm selecting this entire portion. Um, of course, I don't require the visual cards. So I'm just only selecting the brothers. I mean, these two brothers and then the slicer. Copy this and then go back to the location details and then paste it over here. The moment once you paste it, the first thing what you are going to notice, there is a message called sync or don't sync. So select the don't sync. If you select sync, what will happen? The moment once you are selecting the data or you are pressing any one of the slicer here, this will automatically sync this as well. It will also filter the options here. So I don't want to sync the details, so I'll just keep this as it is right now. Okay. So now I'll talk about this first one. This portion here, what I'm talking, I'll talk about this. So when I'm selecting this and when click on the action this time, when I say page navigation, you will see the first page will appear on the drop down. So select this home page, and that's the only thing we are going to do. And now since we have created a link towards it, how do you know that this is working? Hold the control button on the keyboard and then click on this icon. This will take you automatically to the first page. So the moment once you hold the control button and click on this image, it will take you to the first page automatically. Is it working? Right. So now see what we are doing. Okay, I'm going to bring a table onto the slicer, onto the canvas. So when I click on the table, you can see now the table has automatically been given. The table is added. I'm just
Can you
creating
come
the layer.
again? How did you bring this table?
Go to the visualizations and then click on the table visual.
Okay.
Okay. Now in the table layout, what I'm going to do is to just bring in the city details here. I'm going to bring in the city detail. So since the cities are like very vast, very vast, so nothing to worry about that. We are just going to utilize this. So I'm just going to bring the city onto the table. Okay. And also I'm going to bring the country, but country, I'm going to bring it outside this table, not within the table. I'm bringing it outside the country table. When I bring in automatically, when I bring this country onto the canvas, as I told you, this will automatically give you the map layout, right? So I'm selecting this country and then changing this to a slicer first. I'm changing this to the slicer. So after I change to the slicer, just see, I'm going to select the slicer which is there below and then use the format painter. Use the format painter option and then select on the layout of the country. This will automatically convert to the layout whatever we have created here. Okay. So this is the first thing I have done by selecting this, and this is the table, and then these are the layers. Now let's proceed. Before we proceed, just give me a heads up like you are done till here so that we'll see. I'm just concentrating more on the layer side first. Done.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. See, I'm adding one more image. I'm just adding one more image by going to the insert under the elements group, click on the image, and then this time I'm going to bring the Zomato box, this one. And same thing, I'm just going to use the style here.
This is outside the table, inside the table. This is
I this will be outside the table. We are going to do it.
okay.
So just adding the picture over here. Okay. Now let's look at the stats here. See, when I'm working on the city, when I'm working on the table part, so you will have a lot of information when you work with the table visual. However, let's go step by step for each one. Okay, I have added the city. Now my aim is whatever the database or details that I have added here, like the restaurants, unique cuisines, average rating and average cost for two. I want to bring all these four into the table format here, but these are by the details. This is what we have given on the higher end, but we want to bring it onto the detail part. Now look at this step by step and then we'll take a look. Earlier, you remember what we have done in order to bring in one of the, we brought the restaurants and then we changed this to the count. And then we changed this to a, we changed this to a card visual. And then what we have done, we changed certain features of it. So we are bringing this data and then dropping onto the canvas, and then we are trying to change the settings over there. Like under the field section, we are changing everything. But this time what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of different way of using this style. So take a look at this one. In, if you are very familiar in Excel, very familiar in Excel, okay, there are certain formulas where you can write, and there are certain formulas where you might not be able to write in a straight case. So for that reason, what you do, you rely on a concept called functions. These are called custom functions. Okay. So those custom functions can also be handled over in the Power BI in a different way. And those custom functions are actually called as measures in Power BI. Those are called measure. So how do you create a measure and how do you actually work on this measure? Since I want to bring the measure onto the append table, I right click on this append one table and then you will see an option called the measure. Okay, so click on the new measure. And when I click on the measure now, it is asking me, tell me what is the measure that you want to do. So I am giving a name called, you can give whatever the name you like, but I'm just giving a name called TR, which means total restaurants. Okay. All right. So I have given a name for the measure. Now what to do? I need to give a calculation. What does this measure should in fact measure within the database? So I'm using a function or a formula called count. I'm using a formula called count, but in count, we have a lot of options. So I'm relying more on the count distinct. So select the count distinct. For that, what I did, I typed count. So there are options coming up using the left lower arrow and upper arrow. I can toggle anywhere. And then once I found whatever the formula that I want to bring in, press the tab key. This will automatically come in. You don't need to type everything.
Should I try it?
Sorry.
Should I give it a try or should I wait?
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah. New measure.
Right. Right click on the append one and then click on the new measure and then give a name to the measure. Once you give a name, then after that is equal to, you will have to type distinct count.
Okay.
And what is that I want to measure using the distinct count function? Within the append one table, I am looking out for the restaurant ID. Within the append one table, I'm looking out for the restaurant ID. So I have selected this append one restaurant ID using the down arrow by pressing down and then press the tab key. This will automatically appear. Close the bracket and then hit enter. The moment once you close the bracket and hit enter, you will identify that the measure is been created here automatically. This is the symbol for the measure. So you will see this automatically created under the append one table. So what does this measure will do? It will only count, it will always count the or give you the distant count of all the restaurant IDs in this particular table. So now if I bring this TR and then drop it onto the table, inside the table next to city, you should see this count will automatically match the count within the home page.
Yes.
There is a way where you are doing the dragging the restaurant ID and then you are changing the fields under the statistics. But this time you are dedicatedly creating a measure that will only count the restaurant ID every time, which means this TR measure can be used across any of the page within this particular report, anywhere. But it will only count the give you the distinct count of the restaurant ID, the same value. Similarly, if I want to go and then look out for the unique cuisines, okay, unique cuisines. So same way I'm going to do it by using the new measure, and this time I'm going to mention it as giving the measure name as unique cuisines and distinct count of the cuisines from the append one table. Hit enter and you can drag it. This will also give you the unique cuisines count. Okay. Similarly, if you want, you can just do it for average rating and average cost for two as well. So for average rating, what am I doing is creating a new measure. And then I'll give the name called average rating. But in the formula this time, I'm not going to use the distant count because earlier we are not using the distant count for average rating. We are
Just
using average,
I
correct?
am doing something wrong. My unique cuisines are not appearing correctly. Am I doing something wrong?
Have you created the measure?
Yes, I have created measure, then pressed enter. But
After you create the, matlab, have you given the formula as well?
yes, just 1 second. Should I again?
If you are not able to, if you're able to see, share the screen, well and good. If not, you will have to double click on that unique cuisines measure that will show on the formula bar. Have you mentioned the formula or not?
Unique cuisine. Just 1 second. I'll try
Yeah.
again. So unique cuisine, it is showing already created. So below TR, should I drag that unique cuisine and place it here? Yeah, now it is correctly appearing. Yes, yes. Okay.
All right. So now what you'll do, I'm just creating a new measure, which is average rating. And for the average rating, what am I doing is I'm using the formula called average. and using the average aggregate rating from the append one table and hit enter. So this will give me the average rating measure. So bring the average rating measure over here. And similarly, and the last one, just use the same thing what we have done for average cost for the two, which is for the in USD dollar what I'm doing up. Okay. So average cost for two.
सोना है तो सो जाओ
क्लास चल रही है ना
So create the average cost rating and average rating, and then let me know. I'll tell you just a adjustment on the average cost for two also.
So for this average cost for two, I'll have to use average, then append in USD. So this 10.82 is appearing with decimal.
Yep, done.
Yeah, done.
All right. See, for average cost for two, the average cost for two measure, when you select this measure, okay, when you select the measure, you will see on the top there is a measure tools which is automatically opened, and select the format as a currency, and you can select the dollar symbol over here, and then you can control the decimal portion over here.
Yes.
So if everything is completed, okay, then now let's look at the statistics over here, like how you can able to see. Click on the format your visual, click on the format your visual, and on the general part, again on the general part, I'm not going to give any kind of a title, or either if you want to give a title, you can just give a title over here if you want, or else you can otherwise around you can leave it, not a problem. I'm just giving a background, the visual border on. So that's the only thing I'm just doing on the general side, but I'll concentrate more on the visual part. See, the first thing what you need to know when you are creating a table visual in the Power BI, okay, this is the only visual which has got a lot of options, and moreover, I should say deeper and deeper inside, deeper and deeper options here. So it will drill down to lot of minute details it will give you. So which means if you are loading around 10 different columns, your formatting will take a lot of time. The amount of time that you have to spend will be more. The more information you bring, the more you will have to sweat on the visual. The less you bring, you will have to just spend a little bit of time on the formattings. So I'll show one by one. Let's look at the first visual, first option on the visual, which is called the style presets. Like in MS Excel application, when there is an Excel table created, there are few designs that comes in on the top, which is called as table design. Similarly, here you will have the style presets. So go through each one of the style preset, you will see a different kinds of preset styles are which are already available over here. If you don't want anything, you can just leave it as it is. But if you want to go ahead with any one of the uh, current or present style, you can change it or use it from here. That's on the style preset part. Grid. So you can see when you talk about the grid, you don't want to bring any kind of a colors for the grid like horizontal or vertical. This is the place where you are going to switch off the horizontal or vertical grid lines. So this becomes very plain. Okay. And within that, when you talk about the border, again, this is the border they are talking about. So if you want to have the border, use it. Otherwise around, you don't want to have the border, you can leave it. So this is where you can see the border. Or if I bring in the border position like top, bottom, left, right, this is how it gives you everywhere. But usually I avoid because only for one reason, since I already the border created everywhere. So I'm not so interested to do it except for the bottom and top. And then options, row padding. Row padding is something like it will create a more of like, the width will be, the gap will be given. So row height, in a simple terms to say, it is called the row height. And the global font size. When I talk about the global font size, this is the entire global font size that it is talking about. So let's say if I'm bringing the font here on the top, let's say around 13 or 14. So this is how it looks like, the font size. So as of now, there is no such kind of rule that there is a global font that needs to be followed unless and until your company say use Arial with font and all this kind of thing. Like in the PowerPoint presentation, you can use it. Otherwise around, it's up to you, whatever the font you can use it. So this is on the grid part. And when it comes to the values, again, as I told you, you can change the values over here. So I'm using a Calibri every time. That's my favorite. So I'll use Calibri. And text color, background color, alternate text color. You want to do any changes like this on the text or alternate colors, you can control it over here. In fact, I don't want to do anything, so I'll just keep it as it is. And from here, it comes the main portion, which is the column header. See, this is specific only to the column header. Earlier, what we have done is we have done a global level, which is font size. But this is very specific to the column header. Okay. So even on the column header, as I told you, like it will go to a minor details where you can do the minor formattings as well. So only for the font header, if I want to bring in a little bit more on the font header size, I can just do it. Sometimes you want to fill the gap like this, you can just fill in the gap if required. By adjusting or dragging it like this. And this is on the total side. Total is this one, which is at the footer. So you can bring in, I can just mention it as like grand total. So it will automatically change, and font size, everything is okay. So text, I want to bring it like this, a text color, and then give a background color of red. If you wish, you can change, you can bring in a light color as well. And here comes the most important point, which is column header, sorry, the specific column. In the specific column, what you will see, this setting is specific to the each one of the column. As I told you, if you are having 10 columns here, you will have to do it for every column by selecting, not just for only one. So let's say now I don't want to bring any changes onto the city column, but I want to bring a little bit changes onto the restaurant. For example, instead of seeing, I want to bring this alignment as a center. I have done it only for the center. So again, if I want to do it for cuisines, I'll do it for the cuisines. And if I want to bring this for the average rating, I'll bring it to the average rating. And similarly, if I want to bring this for the average cost for the two column, I'll have to do it for the alignment for this. Okay. So far done. Any questions?
This is the formatting which you have done, complete formatting.
Yeah, this is the formatting. I'm purely talking about the formatting part. Okay. So let's look at the next one, which is the cell elements. This is another crucial part in this it is another crucial part. So when I say crucial part, why is that we are talking about it as like mentioning it as very crucial? See, in MS Excel application, you would have heard about an option called the conditional formatting. Have you ever used this conditional formatting?
Yes, it will do the color coding basis the average of overall.
Right. So like in MS Excel application, how you can apply the conditional formatting, this is where you will take a look. Lekin, what you need to focus here, what you need to focus here is pretty simple. So when you focus something over this particular place, you have to definitely have to have an eye to detail information. If you're not having an eye to detail, what will happen? Ideally, if you're not having an eye to detail, this will be little, I would say, um, I mean, I wouldn't say this is like you will miss everything, but something like you will be little confused. Okay. Just to avoid confusion, just to ensure that you're on the same page and having everything in right, having everything in a right place. Okay. So just have need to have a little bit of eye to detail here. So see this. When I select this part and then go to the format your visual and then click on the cell elements. Okay. First thing, read this header very clearly. Apply the settings to, which means if you want to do a conditional formatting for the city, if you want to do the conditional formatting for the city, whatever the formatting that you want to apply, if you want to apply it for city, then ensure that this is city is selected. Ensure city is selected. Okay. If not, if you want to apply the setting for restaurant, then you have to select the restaurant. If not, if you want to select it for the unique cuisines, you will do it. If that, if you want to give it for average rating, you will have to do it. Let's say I want to select city because I want to bring the icons, or let's say the conditional formatting over here. I want to bring in here. Okay. Then I'm selecting the city. I'm not going to use a background color. I'm not going to use a font color. I want to use the icons. I want to bring in some sort of icon. My agenda is wherever it says average rating, right? So I want to bring accordingly a kind of a star rating here. So I'm going to choose icons here. The moment once I choose icon, you will see there is a new pop-up box open. Okay. So first thing, select that the city is selected, and then now we are going to click on the icons, and then there is a icon box updated. Again on the icons, let's see. I always go with the rules. Okay, I always go with the rules for this. Or you can give a field value. Let's say you can give a field value, which is values only, which is absolutely fine. What field we should based on? See, I want to bring a conditional formatting to the city column, but which column you are basing on? I want to base on aggregate rating. So I'm selecting the aggregate rating, or either what you can do, you can use the average rating as well. Okay, choose the average rating. After I choose the average rating, icon layout, left of the data or right of the data. I'll keep right of the data, which means after the data, it will give you the data icon. Whatever the style, I want to bring in kind of star style. Okay. I want to bring a star style. So now what is the value? So in the average rating, what I know very clearly is on the average rating, what I know very clearly is we have the average rating between 0 and 5. Okay. In order to make sure, okay, first thing, do it till here on the top, just make sure everything is ready. Done till here?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see what we are going to do is we are going to define the rules. While defining the rule, generally most of the time people will not take a look at this one. So you need to take a look that you have to select the number. Okay. If the value is greater than or equal to, instead of defining this as a 0 by default, usually what you can do, you can just benchmark this with a minimum. Just you can type min, which means in your database, not necessarily that everything will start with a 0. Sometimes there could be 1.1 as well. So whatever be the minimum you want to define, you can just give a minimum number, and lesser than, let's say you keep a higher cap, whatever be the higher cap it is, let's say around 4. I'm going to give 4 and then number. Okay. So if value is greater than or equal to minimum number and lesser than 4, then it should give me a blank star. If the value is greater than or lesser than 4 number and lesser than 4.5 number, then give me a half star. If it is greater than or equal to 4.5, okay, and lesser than or equal to, you can give a max here instead of minimum. I mean, you can instead of number, whatever be the max. So you can give a max, then it should give me a gold star. This is what my expectation is about. Okay. If you want, you can add a new rule. or you can just maintain the same thing. That's absolutely fine. So once you do this and click on OK, you will see wherever there is above 4.5, it will give you a full star. Wherever it is between 4 and 4.5, it will give you a half star. Wherever it is below 4, it gives you the black star, or let's say the white star.
Yes.
So for a minute now, if you take a look, I'm going to filter out the data for, let's say, Oceania. Now the slices are also updated. If I go back and click on the Australia, now you will see the data is given only for this. And again, the New Zealand, you'll see the data for New Zealand. So this is how your data can be controlled, and you can see the results very instantly and very beautifully. Got it?
Yes.
Just to beautify the page, if you want, just you want to beautify the page, you can create, you can go and create images. You can insert some images. Let's say, for example, for Africa, I'm opening this. Okay. See, what am I doing here? There is nothing that you have to do here. It's just a kind of an image. If you want to bring a kind of an image here, you can just bring it like this. See, for Asia, I'm just going to bring the Asia. If you want, you can see what is the property that you have given here. So I'm just using 4346. See, likewise, you can add pictures so that, you know, it will be much more better. If you think this gap is like too much, you can just use it. Otherwise around, it's up to you. All right. So if you have done, let's move on to the next page and just copy this three things here. And then go to the next page, drop it here, and then click on the don't sync. The beauty of copying the images or the slices from the other place to here, you don't need to do the alignments. Alignments will remain the same. And it will also copy the what you already have created, it will also copy the same thing. So you don't need to worry about that. So after you create the page, let's do this way. We'll create a visuals. Whatever the total number of visuals we have here, I'll cover up all the visuals. Certain visuals will not be covered because they're now they require more and more data, or either it is like a programming visual. So we'll not touch base everything. but I'll cover most of the important visuals what it is. So from here, we can just use the visuals here. I would say visuals 1, and then save the file for a minute so that you're not losing anything. Okay, so let's start with the first visual. The very first visual, we have it as a bar chart. So I'm selecting this bar visual and then click on select the bar visual. This will automatically create a bar visual here. This is called the stake bar chart. By the way, what is the difference between the staked and the clustered bar chart or column chart?
So staked is one of the other, while clustered is when we have a column chart as well as we have line chart.
Mm, no, that's not the correct example. So stake means when you're adding more elements in a chart, it appears one after the other, like top on each, it will be piled up. Okay, that is why it is called stake. But clustered will give you side by side comparison. Stake will give you in a pile direction. So let's see that. So this is a stake bar chart. Okay, the visual. And when I select the visual here, you will see y-axis, x-axis, and legend that you need to give in. Let's say, for example, I want to bring in the x-axis and y-axis, whatever. Let's bring a data which is actually little lesser, and then you can able to see the data. Let's use. Okay, we have got everything. Okay, let's pick up month name. We'll do it later because I want to use that for a different one. Or let's do one thing. Let's bring region itself on the y-axis. Let's bring region on the y-axis, and on the x-axis, let's bring the total restaurants, or we can bring in. Let's bring in average cost and average cost for the two. Let's bring average cost for the two, not the total restaurants. I'll bring in the average cost for the two. So this looks better. And I'll remove the slicer here. Slicer is not required. So I'll remove the slicer. So let's keep this one. Average cost for the two. Okay. So on the y-axis, usually on the this should be reverse, but the stake bar chart. Okay. For the stake bar chart, we are doing it in the reverse way. So we have brought in the y-axis and then we have brought in the x-axis, average cost for the two. Now see, if I want to bring in average rating as well, what you witness here is it is adding up on the top. It is just piling the information. You see? Does it work?
Yes.
All right. So now let's look at the details of this. Okay. I'm going to select this visual and then go back to the format your visual. And as I told you on the general side, the more important point that I'm going to use is on the tiles title. So I'll say region, or let's say region instead of region, saying rating versus cost. I'm just giving a heading called rating versus cost. Okay. Font, again, I'm just using the Calibri, and then let's say 15, and then bold. This is all the just general way of what I usually do. And under the effects, I only use the visual border. That is my usual habit. So I'm just keeping it. I can bring in the rounded corners if required. So this is how the rounding corners will look like. And now I'll go to the format your visual. Let's look at the visuals for everything. So the first thing on the y-axis. So when I click on the y-axis, what is that I can see? Y-axis means this is the place where I'm talking about. Okay. So for each and everything, as I told you, for each and every tiny step, you will have to give the settings. Okay. And when you talk about the title, this is the title. If you think this is occupying more space, you can just switch off the title, which is not required. Okay. And then similarly, you will have the same option on the x-axis as well. So here on the x-axis, I don't want this category to be coming up. So I'll switch off the title, which is not required. The values I wanted to show, which is absolutely okay. If required, you can show the average, otherwise around no, but I'm just keeping it common. Legend is about this part, this portion on the legend part, so you can just keep it. And grid lines, you want the grid lines. These are the grid lines which are shown up. If you want the grid lines, you can keep it. Otherwise around, you can switch off the grid lines as well. Zoom slider, you don't require, don't do use it. It is not for a proper reporting purposes here, but you want to change the color here, which is called the color here, ribbons. Okay, sorry, bars. So you can see for each one of the for each one of the series that you have, you can change the color. For instance, if you want to bring in a color for like this, use a red and black combination. And the border for this will be different. This is the one we are talking about, the borders. And more importantly on the data labels. Okay, if you wish to have the data labels, you can add the data labels over here. So this will give you the data labels like this. And total labels are not required. When I say total label, this gives you like 65.4 plus 4 is 69, which is absolutely not right. This is not correct. So here I'm just not using the total labels, but since you have got this information. So this is how my visual chart is actually created. Okay. And now what I'm doing, I'm just going to the insert tab, elements group. I click on the text box. So here I'm just going to give a name for this chart, which is called the stake bar chart, right? So staked bar chart. Ideally to say, you need to have a lot of patience while you're doing this, especially with the Power BI. I think what I can do is I'll do one thing. Instead of showing rating versus cost here, this is not the actual report. I'll keep it here itself. So you will able to understand. Stake bar chart. This is a better idea. Okay. So if you are good with this, then you can bring on to the next one, which is copy this. I'm copying this visual and then paste the visual, just pasting it to the right hand side here. Okay. And this is the stake bar chart, what you have done. Okay. So I'm converting it to a stake column chart. Instead of bar chart, I'm using the column chart. And I'm just changing the title here to staked column chart. The reason why I'm doing this way, so that you will understand tomorrow when you want to apply any one of the visual, you will see how the visual will look like. How the visual will look like, you will have an understanding, better understanding of it. So that is the reason why I'm asking you to do it this way. right? Now see, for both the stake bar chart or the stake column chart, okay, this is a normal chart what you would have been using in Excel from a very, very long time. But what is more important, or let's say what else it is actually giving you more advantage in terms of the Power BI? If you look at the build visual, format your visual, and apart from this, you have one more visual or one more item which is called the analytics. When you click on the analytics part, for each one of the visual, Power BI gives you one kind of analytics offering. So which means, for example, if you look at this data, okay, the average cost for each one of the region is very varying between region to region. Okay, now if I want to apply a constant line, when I say a constant line, I want to bring, or let's say a kind of a benchmark. For example, a kind of a benchmark. Let's say my benchmark for all this would be, let's say around $25. For example, $25 is my minimum benchmark. If I want to see the $25, what I can do here, see this, I'm just mentioning this way. If I add a value called 25, do you see there is a line which is dotted line appearing here? Just to show this is my benchmark, nothing else. Just to show this is a benchmark. Okay. And the data label, you can switch on the data label. So this will give you the data label here. It doesn't have any more way of showing. You want, you can change the color of it as well. So since we have created one constant line, it is appearing in the bracket as 1. Okay. And this is my benchmark. For example, why do I need this, or where do I need this? For instance, I'm talking about the sales, and I'm talking in front of a larger audience. And if I want to tell the audience that, listen, our target is around $25, and this is our benchmark, and for each one of the region, this is where they are standing. Then easily looking at the data, I can identify that, okay, Asia is still not up to the benchmark. Sam is little nearer to the benchmark. I think apart from Sam and Asia, remaining all the regions are actually crossing the benchmark. So that is what exactly this kind of statistics. In staked column chart, you can also see the same thing. In staked column chart, you can see the same thing. But this time, for this, I'll give you another methodology. It's an automated system. I'll show you. Here we have given the value. Here we gave the value. Instead of value, I can set this up in a different way by using the function. And let's say I'm using the same thing, which is average, average cost of the two. And then when I click on OK, see, the benchmark is little different here this time. This is an automated way. So this is an automated way. So how does this number came in? Taking all the average of all this, it gives you what is the average. It's a 10.82. I mean, this is just as an example I'm showing you, not on the reality, but on the real time scenario. Since you will be the owner of your data, you can think and set it up. So based on your data, whenever your data keep changing, this will also get adjusted accordingly. Save the file. Don't do anything. Just save the file, and then see. Hope you are able to apply the same way. Let me know if you are able to do this.
Yes.
Okay. Are you good, Rajesh? I haven't heard anything from you.
Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So we'll just save the file and then we'll stop it here. I know it's getting too much loading, but were you okay? Let me stop it here and then let me go back and then see. You guys have any questions so far for today's journey?
No, I think we are aligned.
They're all good to know.
Okay. I wish you can go back and then again start practicing on your data, real-time database, and then try to cover up these things like where you have created the visual maps and then hierarchy using the slicers and using the uh, card visuals and image part. I'll talk about the image part at the very end, but there is a reason why I ask you to do this. Otherwise, around it will be like a painful job again. So this is the part, and then try to use the table formats as well, and then try to bring in the conditional formatting. Use the conditional formatting as well, and a simple charts that we have created. If you wish to go and explore the other charts, go and try. Otherwise, around I'll cover the remaining visuals on the next class as well. Okay, until then keep practicing and then ensure you're practicing it. Don't come out of the practice zone, like don't be away for a long time. Keep practicing and then see how the results are. Okay,
Yes, yes.
Okay.
all right, thank
Thank you.
you so much and then
Thank
have a
you.
great weekend. Yeah, bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.